Hello, Gio.
Hey, Kayla.
So, how have you been?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah.
So, last time we met, we talked about some homework for you to do.
Right.
Do you remember what that homework was?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was supposed to do my self-care.
Okay.
Yes.
And?
And?
How did that go?
What was the other part? I had to do the self-care.
No, sorry, I was asking, and how did that go?
Oh! I was like, oh no!
Just threw my pen on the ground, that's fine, I don't need that.
I was supposed to do the self-care.
Yeah.
Was there a part two?
And practice using those skills.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
The things that you've already, identified, yeah.
yeah. So, things have been going pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I felt really good after our last session because you said that you thought I was actually higher than like a 6.5 or whatever. And so then that kind of boosted my confidence a little bit. I think in the last little bit I've been trying to be more mindful and present by like being more open about what I need and like communicating those needs. Especially to Jill, like asking for time, and also asking for space to decompress.
Great.
So I've gotten into the habit of actually leaving work at like 3:45, 4, just to go for like a quick 10-15 minute walk in the neighborhood. And then when I come back, that I start wrapping things up, but it's just kind of like a little time for me to decompress and get some alone time so that I can make sure I leave work at work.
Great. That's awesome.
And then so Jill and I carpool, so like by the time I pick her up, I have already had that time to just decompress and relax.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so with trying out these different things of taking time for yourself and making sure you're decompressing kind of before you get to Jill, how's that been working out for you?
Pretty good. I'm like feeling more relaxed, and so I'm feeling less like spontaneously irritable as I was before.
Right.
And when I am getting irritable, I'm remembering like, oh, this is part of my cycle. Like, I'll start feeling this or thinking that. So whenever I like think that in my head, I automatically laugh because I don't know why, it just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Which is good because I usually come at things from like a place of humor as opposed to like a place of anger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Plus, like, it kind of, I'm sure, is a little bit funny, especially when it's outside of your like typical pattern of behavior to be like, what am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
what is this that I'm feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been working out really well. I think it's
Great.
also made me feel better about having self-care and like having the words now to be like, I'm allowed to ask for what I need, and I'm allowed to also listen to what other people need and respect that.
Yeah.
Like it's been feeling pretty good having that skill.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you. I'm really excited that you've been able to like kind of use these skills and use the things that you already have and just kind of reminding yourself that you have them, I think, is what I'm hearing, and really taking that time for yourself to just like step outside and get some fresh air and take a walk around and get some sun.
Totally.
Because I think, you probably are inside most of the day and it can be a little bit like taxing, I'm sure. So I'm sure it's like nice to just be outside and connect with nature.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah. Have you noticed any difference in your relationship with Jill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're laughing a lot more. It's easier to connect. Even if we're both like tired from work or tired from things, it's just like easier to connect, and that's been really nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. I mean, like, that's kind of probably the main purpose of trying to achieve change is to maintain your relationship, and because you love Jill and you want your relationship to be healthy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So it seems like you've done like a lot of work in the last little while since I've seen you last. What's changed for you?
My mood.
Yeah.
I feel genuinely more calm.
Nice.
I feel good too, like a I don't know, like a boost of confidence because I feel like I've been accomplishing something,
Mm-hmm.
which has been nice. So I'm
Mhm.
like feeling more confident,
Mhm.
getting into serious conversations with Jill. I feel more confident at work, being like asking for what I need, and like if there's any like pushback on that, I feel confident being like, no, I'm allowed to ask for what I need. Like this is
Yeah.
actually what I need.
Because you matter as well.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
so that's been helping, and surprisingly, I thought that would have like negative outcome at work, or that would be difficult, but
Mhm.
I feel like it's actually made me closer to some of the managers, especially some of the new managers that I work with.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, which has been nice.
Yeah.
I think transparency goes a long way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and what else has changed for me? Conflicts have changed for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they don't look the same. They're not as serious.
Mhm.
Well, they're serious. They're not as like punitive, I guess.
Mhm.
They're not. They don't leave like emotional scar tissue, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like a lot of things have changed for the better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you've been able to do that, and you've been able to, you know, kind of take what we've been doing together and transform it into like tangible outcomes for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really happy for you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, you've come so far, like just in a short while, like really just being able to identify that, you know, you have a struggle in your life and something that you want to alter to have a better outcome of like being like, I feel angry, and not that you don't want to feel angry anymore, but you just wanted to manage it differently and
Yeah.
like change the way you approach it. And I think like you've done a really good job of doing your homework and being open to change, and I think you've done like a really awesome job of, you know, being able to communicate with me some of the challenges that you're facing and being able to kind of work with me to brainstorm, you know, possible outcomes and solutions.
Yeah.
And I think that that's been really awesome for you to be able to like find that balance of, you know, expressing your needs without kind of like you said, like hurting others or like bringing their mood down with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I've really enjoyed working with you in that. I think you're a really fast processor. I'm sorry. Really fast processor. Like you're really able to kind of identify what the issue is and identify how you want to change it and what the outcome like you want it to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I tell you all of these things, how does that make you feel?
Good. I mean, it makes me feel like I did the work and I took this seriously, and that feels good because I put energy into something, and
Mhm.
obviously after putting energy into something, I'm seeing like positive outcomes of it too, so that feels really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's nice to know, or it's nice to be affirmed that like, no, you're doing the work. Like that feels
Mhm.
good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've definitely done the work, that's for sure. And I'm glad that I can affirm that for you, because, and I'm sure even like your partner can affirm that for you. Like things have probably been like
Yeah.
different in your household, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's being calmer.
yeah, which is awesome. That's great. I'm really excited for you for that.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned to me last time we met that you were a little bit nervous about not being able to be connected with me all the time, and like, what if something goes wrong?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna pick my pen up now that I dropped, because I think we can make a little written plan together to maintain and continue to work on your goal.
Okay.
So, who are some people that are in your life that can help you to maintain this goal and to maintain the work that you've been doing?
Like other than my partner.
So Jill, obviously, we can put on here.
Mm-hmm.
Jill's a big star. Jill's the main person.
Yeah.
Who else?
Probably my best friend Scott.
Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had mentioned to me earlier that Scott, or like in our earlier sessions, that Scott is somebody that will kind of like call you on your
Totally.
stuff and doesn't kind of like sugarcoat things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
that's
100%.
awesome. Okay, who else?
Probably. Well, I don't know. I'm blanking.
That's okay.
I know I have a group of really solid friends
Mhm.
that if I needed someone to listen to me or like listen to me vent about a fight or an argument or vent about how
Mhm.
you know I didn't do my coping skill or whatever, I know that I have like a core group of friends that could be really helpful,
Mhm.
that would like listen to me and also be like, I don't know, say something motivational like, you know, you can always go back, you can revisit it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's good. That's good that you have like quite a few people in your life that will kind of help to motivate you and encourage you to do the work and to continue reaching out for support.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in a really good place right now, it sounds like. So last week you said you were at like probably a 6.5 on the scale of 1 to 10 of achieving your goal.
Mhm.
Where do you think you are this week?
Probably like a 9.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
9? That's awesome.
I don't want to give myself like a 10 out of 10 because I feel like there's always room for improvement.
Always room for
like,
improvement, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for you. So, you had mentioned like last week that you know that you've achieved your goal because things will be calmer, you'll have more conversations rather than conflict, so on and so forth. So those are really good kind of measurable things, right? So how do you know if things, because you had mentioned that you're nervous about things kind of going backwards or like it not working, things like that. So how would you know that things are, that you need a tune-up, let's say?
If I could tell that my mood is drifting a little bit,
And that would look like?
like if I stop doing some of the self-care stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like going to the gym or asking or making sure that like I have at least like 20 minutes a day of just like me time.
Mm-hmm.
If arguing increases, because if I start to argue more, I know that it's probably because I'm becoming irritable again.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I don't know. Those are the things that are coming to mind right
Mm-hmm.
now.
No, that's totally fine, and this is something that maybe you can keep in your mind at a later time because things will kind of come up, or you'll be like, oh, that's my cue. So when these things start to happen, and we're moving away from our 9, what do you think a healthy plan would be to address this to keep the momentum moving forward or stay at a 9?
Well, revisiting my plan, right?
Mhm.
Like when I start to feel irritable, like pausing and asking myself, like what's actually going on for me? What am I thinking about myself?
Mm-hmm.
Challenging those thoughts if they're negative, right?
Mhm.
And being like, oh, I have a choice right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do I believe these things or do I challenge myself to believe something else?
Mm-hmm.
So like revisiting the plan and like revisiting my coping skills and making sure that I'm doing those things because I know that I should be. And if I can't do them, like reaccessing or revisiting, because you said that I could revisit if I needed
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So if I know the steps, like, you know, revisit my process or my cycle or whatever, and
Mhm.
then try to do the self-care things, and if I'm still like unable to do those things, then come back,
Mm-hmm.
tune up.
Yeah. I like to say tune up because sometimes people think if like things are like regressing a little bit they think that they've failed.
Mm.
But just like our vehicle, like we need to put some oil in there.
Yeah, we need to
put
tune it up.
gas.
Totally.
Got to put air in the tires to keep going, right? It
Right.
doesn't mean the vehicle has failed. It just means it needs a little attention, right?
Right.
Yeah. Plus, I think, progress isn't a straight line. It ebbs and flows, and so there is going to be times when things maybe aren't perfect, but that doesn't mean
Yeah.
that you failed or that you're bad.
Totally.
Just because I think it's important to say, just to remind ourselves that we have room for error.
Totally.
Yeah, like even the greatest, computer programs have errors, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think that that's a good plan too, to, access these friends to kind of give you the motivation that you need and to encourage you and to kind of keep you in line.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure Jill will also be a big litmus test for your
Totally.
management of your feelings of anger.
Totally.
Probably the number one indicator right away that things are slipping or whatever. So, because I know that feeling stupid or failing or looking like an imposter are all things that are challenging for you. How could Jill tell you that things are kind of regressing without triggering those things of feeling like you're failing?
I think that's like my responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if she shares an observation with me, I think it's my responsibility to be like, yeah, you're right. Like the oil sign is going off in my
Right.
car, or like
Mm-hmm.
low tire pressure is going off in my car. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not about the car malfunctioning or being stupid. It's just like, yeah, you're right. And sometimes we just need those signs. So
Right.
I don't know if it's necessarily like what can she do as opposed to what's my responsibility in
Mhm.
interpreting that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you make a really good point there of like, what it looks like when your relationship is kind of being challenged by anger,
Mhm.
right? Like, what that already looks like. So you're able to be like, whoa, like, we haven't been in this place in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Something's changed.
Yep.
So you're going to take responsibility for gauging the conflicts with Jill. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So once you've gauged those things and oh, this isn't what I want it to look like, then do you think you could go to Scott? Like, what's your step one?
So step one would be gauging it out. Step two would be maybe like asking someone I trust for a confirmation that maybe there's a sign,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think like that, if it's not Jill, it could totally be Scott or another friend.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it's like my responsibility to be like, hey, like, I've been feeling this, do you think this is a sign for something? Or,
Mm-hmm.
what is your opinion?
So you're going to ask for confirmation
yeah.
and reach out?
Yeah. And then step three would be like reevaluating everything that I'm doing. So like, what do my days look like? What am I doing in terms of self-care and self-soothing? And I think also balancing like what's going on in my life. So like not necessarily being like, oh, am I going to the gym? Am I going to bed and eating? But also like what's going on in my life to be causing me stress?
Mm-hmm.
And like, is it a big deal or is it a little deal?
Mm-hmm.
And am I responding to it appropriately based on how big it is?
Yeah, because if you can evaluate like, oh, this is like a small issue and I'm reacting as if it's a big issue.
Yeah.
That could be like, oh, yeah, like
Something
I'm
else is up.
tired
Yeah.
or I'm not feeling heard or my
Yeah.
needs aren't being met. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, like going over like what's actually going on in my life might be another step. And then I think the step after that would be making a plan. So like, okay, so haven't gone to the gym this week, like let me make a plan and figure out when I'm actually going to go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And then do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I'm having a hard time not doing that or feeling like it's too hard to do things, then I think the last step would be like coming back here.
Okay. I think those are pretty good indicators too, because it sounds like you're like, well, things aren't going well, or like I'm reacting in a way that I don't normally react to said situation. Then you're going to try to use your coping skills, it sounds like, or like your self-care mechanisms, like going to the gym or going for a walk, things like that. If it's still not resolved, then you know, okay, I need a little bit more help.
Totally.
Yeah, that's when you go to the mechanic.
Yes. Right? Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that sounds like a really, really great plan for maintenance. Does that make you feel more comfortable?
Having a plan?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, because like I know you had just mentioned like, what do I do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that you have the skills to be successful, and I definitely think that you have it in yourself, and the knowledge and the work and the motivation. You have all the right motivations and stuff to maintain this and continue working. From the sounds of it, like it just seems like you've got this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like, you know, I'm glad that you're rating yourself more out of 9, because I think that that's more accurate. Like, I really do think that you're more than capable of this, and you have people in your life and a support system and a backup plan to maintain that. And, you know, again, reminding that yourself that it's not always going to be perfect. And sometimes doing your best doesn't mean giving 100%. You don't have 100% to give. Like, that's okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really good. I'm glad that you have that. Yeah. So, Scott would be the person that you'd ask for confirmation and reach out to. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, he's like known me the longest, and he talks to me every day, so
Yeah.
I think he would be a fair voice to hear.
Yeah, and he kind of, well, if you talk to him every day, he knows
Yeah.
what your baseline looks like, hey?
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. Awesome. So as I had mentioned too, and I'll give you some resources as well. If you're ever like feeling like you don't have anyone to talk to, there's always, you know, like ESAC Family Services in case of emergency, or the Distress Center.
Right.
And I can give you the numbers to those places and locations. And they are really good for just like in the moment, like let's say all of your plans fall through, you're not actually alone, you still have resources to contact, and they can help you out in that way. And I think, have you heard of the Dr. Joe Dispenza?
No.
So he's really great in like kind of this change model of like how we think about things, and how we can like envision a different kind of life for ourselves. And if you're interested, I think that would be a really good resource for yourself in like, you know, being able to recognize this. And then it would, I think, also help with those thoughts of being like, how do other people perceive me?
Right.
And kind of changing that, because you're in control of yourself. So if you're interested, he's got a couple podcasts and books and things like that too. So it's like really accessible. And then there's a bunch of stuff on YouTube if you're interested.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, so Joe Dispenza. Yeah. He's really interesting about how our minds can create things for ourselves. So I think that would be really great for you.
Nice.
Yeah. So, being that we've worked together and we've kind of seen that growth and that change from, I have this thing, now I need to change it, and going through the steps of that, do you have any feedback for me?
No, I think that this has been really helpful, and you've been really patient. We've also been really motivating, which has been really nice. Yeah, I just felt like this whole time everything I said was just like normal and non-judgmental, and so I appreciate that a lot.
Oh, well, thank you for that feedback. I'm glad that you felt that it was normal and non-judgmental, because I think, you know, what you're going through is normal, and you don't have anything to be ashamed of. And you know, we all have these challenges in our lives that we need to face in some way or another.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you felt comfortable to be able to talk to me.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, good. I'm glad that we've been able to meet and continue the work that we've been doing, and not that I hope to see you again, but I hope to see you again.
Right.
Because I think you're really interesting and an awesome person to be around, so don't anger the cat.
No.
Yeah, so yeah, anytime. And then if I have anything that I think you'd be interested in that like I'm working on, I'll contact you and let you know.
Perfect.
Okay, awesome.
That'd be great.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kayla.
Thanks, you're the best.